Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making Black Sesame Mochi Donuts with a Yuzu glaze. To start this dish, we need 1 1/4 cup of sweet glutenous rice flour. I'm using Mochiko, but use whatever you can find. To this, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 1/2 tablespoons of black sesame seeds, and 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm just getting in there with my hands and mixing all the dry ingredients, just so they're well incorporated, before adding in 1 tablespoon of unsalted room temperature butter. We want this to be the consistency of wet sand, so I'm just going in and smushing around with my fingers. Next, we're going to drizzle in 1/2 cup plus 1 tablespoon of hot butter, mixing that in just in increments. You could substitute that with warm milk, but it's going to give you a cakier donut. The water is going to give you a chewier mochi consistency with a crispy outside. Once it's cool enough to get in there, with your hands, go ahead and knead that together just until that comes together into a nice dough. Then we're going to cover this and let that rest for 2 hours. For the glaze, we need 3/4 cup of powdered sugar. We're going to add in 2 tablespoons of milk, 1 tablespoon of yuzu juice. If you can't find yuzu juice, just substitute that with lemon juice, 1/8 teaspoon of vanilla, and the zest of 1/2 a lemon and 1/2 a lime, and a pinch of kosher salt. We're going to mix that together, and we're going to set that aside until we're ready to use it. Now our dough is rested. I am going to weigh this out because I want equal portions. So after figuring out the total weight, I did some maths and then just separated them out into 2.3 ounce little bundles and separate them into 6 little portions. Then each of those 6 portions we're going to separate out into 8 tiny balls. Now I'm resting these on parchment, and I like to do the 4 corners first and then fill in the rest of the spaces with the rest of our little mochi balls. So again, 6 portions separated into 8 smaller portions. These are really quite lovely. They look like little bracelets. And that is our donut formed. And I just have a little cookie sheet with a baker's rack on top. Now I'm heating up some peanut oil on the stove to 350 degrees, and we are going to pop one of these in, parchment paper and all. And after 2 minutes, we're going to remove that parchment paper. It just gives that mochi time to stick together. Give this a little flip, and we're going to fry these until they're golden brown, which should take anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes. Just really control your temperature because you don't want it to cook on the outside and still be raw in the middle. We're going to continue to cook these individually. And this is just a lot of fun to see how these come together. Now you do want to glaze your donuts while they're still warm so the glaze sticks. And this glaze will start to solidify after you've put it on your donut after 20 minutes, so it won't be super sticky. So just using a little spatula and drizzling that over the top. And then to finish, I'm just using that remaining 1/2 a lime and 1/2 a lemon to zest right on top of the donut. Now let's go ahead and give these a taste. The mochi inside is chewy in that familiar mochi consistency that we're used to. The outside is crisp and crunchy. The black sesame adds a nuttiness and earthiness, while the glaze with that yuzu juice and lemon and lime zest just lifts this whole donut up. Most of the sweetness comes from that glaze because we didn't add a lot of sugar to the actual donut itself. These are delicious and a lot of fun to make. But there they are, Black Sesame Donuts with a yuzu glaze. I really do hope you all try to make these. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you loved it, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because I put out new videos every Thursday. Thank you again, and until next time, happy cooking.